the greatness they see. Day from day, even today, for there is no night in a place of endless lights. Lightning is the only light of night up there. No wonder his glory is ever increasing, never decreasing, so long as his eyes are widely open, and oh yes, they will never close. Because his reign and existence will never cease, and his throne is deeply rooted and established in eternal foundations of righteousness and justice, the very same ones our feet must trod upon. So tell me, how can his kingdom be shakeable? For heaven and earth will pass away, but he remains as the I am, eternity always outlives time. Okay, the angels worship what they see appearing. See that glittering, wondrous spiritual appearance, blooming with powerful rays outwardly, but inwardly is my focus. For what is seen coming from what is unseen, the inside. No wonder whenever a man appears before God, God instantly travels to the innermost compartment, the heart, and starts searching its thoughts and desires, searching its vacuous emptiness for his fullness to occupy the space. For within us lies a dwelling place of worship intertwined with his true nature. As the 7th Psalm of David, verse 10 says, "My shield is God Most High, who saves the upright in heart." So then my heart aligns with his intent. Then in the spirit I escape from the flesh, beginning to be a legal passenger, to tap to the transport of his elevating, changing dimensions. Then by his grace, not just by any other grace, but by the grace, my forehead will be sealed by the seal of the living God. Then will hurt like a wound out of a trained soldier, tasting bitterly in the folds of my intestine, authentically blessing a badge of a mark to be easily identified that day. And oh yes, we will be identified. Though walking and breathing in the physical, though being bound by time in a foreign land, I know this for sure, that God regretted walking with an empty flesh in heart. That's why he mended this calamity. Listen, not only is he present in our lives, but he has deliberately squeezed and enthroned his immortal being within us. He has placed divinity in a mortal body. So his nature is not just the beauty we proclaim, for his beauty is just 1,000 extended manifestation of his true nature. Though as kings on earth, we search for such concealed matters. Actually, it is our glory to search for such things, but we also strive to discover the fullness of his nature from him to us, in us. If we could tap on knowing the nature of God, we can be the fullness of God and the true nature of God. We can tap into knowing the fathomless worship most of us have never engaged in. We can be beings carrying the weight of his mysteries, speaking from within, yet heard loudly by those sensitive in the spirit, those with immeasurable capacity to receive, covered with frequencies they are of high altitudes. No wonder Daniel could interpret a dream that he never saw. I'm talking about those with abnormal functioning of the eyes that will see with a revealing eye, an eye that sees further and beyond what is seen. Those that can hear a silent, sealed writing message from within, those are strange kinds of beings. These beings who have links within forth to comprehend an unspoken word, a sealed scroll, should I say, an oracle of God on earth. Those that can find a book of Revelation when a word has been planted unto their capacity of Genesis, just one word. Izwi elilodwa. There will be an echo from generation to generation to generation to generations. So, as when a being begins to blow a wind swiftly, unto all the winds of the earth in all directions, blowing the tornado of his divine nature, which is meant when he emerged us from it. As he says, we are his image, meaning we are his character. His character is us, and his character is in us. Such an encounter with the God brings out his invisibility visible. And as other poets say, we are his offspring. So when we repeat that we will be what and who he is, for at the moment we are a blur image. It is so hazy, I tell you. It is not yet revealed in us, not yet known what we are and who we are, until we can intermingle with his true nature. We can reach that level, a dimension that even when he's back, can appear unto our emptiness. We can relate to it as if his face is right under our awareness, reflecting us in him eyes, reflecting him in eyes, our sight hearing him in silence, our heart overflowing in the outpouring of the cold rushing waters of his voice. Just imagine. Imagine meeting with what the nature is yearning for to manifest. This leads me to the end of my introduction. Yes, he is a mighty warrior, worthy of worship, praise, honor, and reverence to his power, filled with sevenfolded spirit. I'll take wisdom in them. A consuming fire and consuming with fire out of his mouth. But what is the gain of always acknowledging the presence of a God we know nothing of? For there's a probably invisible ground, a system, a nature the disciples couldn't understand at that time. Where Jesus rested upon inside the boat that no storm, no wind could supersede. Jesus knew himself, within himself, who he was in God, and was the fullness of God, and was the true nature of God. That is why at that time he was the only one who could glorify the Father in the same measure that the Father glorifies the Son. This leads me to the end of my introduction. What is the divine nature of God? Who are we in God? And who is God in us? I humbly thank you.